So let's begin by pressing start and then typing in CMD. Then we're going to click run as administrator, and when the prompt pops up, click yes. Then in the command prompt, we're just going to type in ipconfig. This is where all the stuff's going to pop up that we're going to need to set up our server and set a static IP. We'll be needing the IPv4 address, the subnet mask, and the default gateway. The default gateway is what you'll be using to log into your router later. The IPv4 address is going to be our static IP, and this is basically what people will be using to connect to the server. If we don't set this as our static IP, then the server will just not show up for people, or people won't be able to connect because the IP will be changing, because it'll be a dynamic IP rather than static. And if it's static, then people can join. If it's not, then people won't be able to join most likely. Let's set up a static IP. So I'm on Windows 11, so I'm going to right click on the start menu and click settings. And then I'm going to go to network and internet. Then when I'm here, I'm going to click on properties, because whether you're on Ethernet or if you're on Wi-Fi, you'll select that. And then you'll scroll down, and mine's already set up, but this will be on automatic. You want to change this to manual on the IP settings. And then you're basically going to enter in the details from the command prompt over to these settings. So as you can see here, the IP address is the same as the one in the command prompt. The subnet mask is also the same, and so is the gateway. You'll need these set up because that's how you keep a static IP. Then the preferred DNS is a bit different. So you can use any of the DNSs online. There's like Cloudflare, Google, and all sorts. So you can pretty much just Google free DNS servers. I'm using the Google one here. So you'll basically want to do 8888, all with dots in between. And then for the alternative DNS, you want to do 8844. These are the DNS stuff for Google. Save that and everything's all set up. So this is basically the other way you can do it. If you click on start and go to control panel, this is basically the same way that you can do it, but on a simpler way. So you can see there's network and sharing there because I've got large icons on. But otherwise you can go to category, network and internet, and then click on network and sharing center. And then you want to click on change adapter settings. And then you can choose between Ethernet or Wi-Fi. If you're hosting on Wi-Fi, obviously you want to do that, but I'm hosting on Ethernet. So I'm going to right click on that and click on properties. Then I'm going to scroll down to the Internet Protocol version 4 TCP/IPv4. I'm just going to click properties. And these are the same settings here that you saw us do in the other one. As you can see, the IPv4 address, the subnet mask, the default gateway, and the preferred and alternate DNS servers are all still there. Either way, this will all be set up the same, but these are just the two different ways you can do it if you can't find one or the other. Then you just tick validate settings and click OK. It'll pop up with a little troubleshooting thing, and it should say that there's no issues, like this. Couldn't identify the problem. Then you can just close it, and that's your static IP setup. So this is a very crucial step. If you want your server to be seen by others, you obviously want to make sure you do all this correctly, so follow this thoroughly. So as you saw before, we have our default gateway, and we're going to use this to log into our router. So we're going to Control-C this and paste this into our browser. You can use Edge, you can use Chrome, you can use whatever. And this should lead you to your modem. You'll obviously want to log in using your details that you can find in the manual or on the back of the modem or whatever. Then everyone's modem is different. Mine says WAN services. That's where I'm going to be doing my port forwarding. Yours might have different names for it. But yeah, port forwarding, port mapping, it's, you know, they should be the same. If it has kind of the similar setup, then this should be correct. So obviously mine's already set up, but you want to make sure it's TCP and UDP. If you can't do that, you'll just set them up separately. The ports are obviously going to be the ports that you want to use to forward. I just have mine in a certain range between 7777 and 7780. And obviously the IP that we have from the hosting computer, which is the IPv4 address we saw in the command prompt earlier. So you'll enter all that in, give it a name, make sure it's on, and click the tick to apply the settings. And that should be pretty much it. You shouldn't have to restart your modem, but some people might have to. But it should all be set up and ready to go. So now we need to do basically the same thing, but on the computer. So we're going to click the Start menu, and we're going to type in Windows Defender Firewall with Advanced Security. Now you can just type in Windows Defender, and it will probably pop up. And then we want to go to inbound rules. This is because incoming connections, so you're getting an inbound connection. So obviously, again, I have mine set up already, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So you go New Rule, and then you go to Port, because you're going to be forwarding the port. And in this one, you can only do either TCP or UDP, so you just put in the port that you put in earlier. So pretty much the same way, you do 7777-7780 or whatever your ports are. You can choose different ports, but these are like pretty much the default. So then you'll click Next, allow the connection. It'll probably default to block the connection. Just click Allow the connection and then click Next. Make sure all these are ticked. Give it a name, just whatever you'll recognize it by in case you need to change this in the future. If you have to change the ports for whatever reason, if the ports are being used by other things. Obviously you'll name it after TCP because you're using TCP. And then you'll basically do the same thing for UDP. New rule, port, next, and then you tick UDP instead of TCP, specific local port, and then the same ports as earlier. Next, allow the connection, all of them ticked, and then name it. Then you can click Finish. Obviously I already have mine set up, so I don't want to do doubles. And just so you can see, that's how it should look if you double click on it, just showing you that. That's how mine are set up, that's how it all should work. And there you go, your server should now be technically visible to everyone. So the link to this site will be in the description. This is basically what you'll need to download the server files required for the TheIsle server. So this is steamcmd. This is how you download the server files. So when you go to this site, you'll scroll down till you see download steamcmd for Windows. The one next to it, you just click on that. It'll download a steamcmd.zip. You'll just download that wherever you want. And then extract that to basically wherever you want. And once you've extracted the zip file, then you should be able to open the folder and scroll down to steamcmd.exe, double click on that, and you should see this window pop up, and you'll basically want to type in login anonymous, and that'll basically log you into the Steam stuff so that you don't have to type in a password and all that each time that you want to update and stuff like that. Then you'll create a folder wherever you want your server to be. You probably won't want it on the C drive though, because sometimes there's permission issues and server doesn't start up correctly and stuff like that. So put it anywhere other than in the main C drive, and then copy the file path in the file explorer, and then type in force_install_dir, and then space, and then paste in your file path. It'll tell you to use that before logon, but it'll still work either way. But probably do it first, in case they update in the future. Then you want to type app_update 412680-beta Evrima. This is obviously the app ID that holds all the server files. Obviously, mine's already done. It's already up to date because I've already got it installed, but it will start installing for you and eventually be completed. And that's it. You have the server files and you're ready to start your server up. Before Before we start it up though, there's a few things we need to set up. So obviously you're going to want to see the file extension. So if you haven't already got it, you go to your file explorer, click the three dots, click options, then you want to click on view, and then where it says hide extensions for known file types, make sure that's unchecked, and then click apply. Then click OK, and now you should be able to see like .txt and .exe and all that stuff, if you haven't already. Otherwise, you don't need to do this because you can already see it all. Next, you're going to probably want to configure your server so that you can actually get it up and running, because without doing this, it'll either pop up with the default stuff or it just won't pop up at all. So you want to go to TheIsle, saved, config, Windows Server, and then you should see game.ini, Engine.ini, game user settings. If you don't see these, you can make these with text files, and then obviously change the extension to ini and edit these in Notepad. You'll most likely have to create these because for some reason these don't get created automatically. But then you can go in here, and in the game.ini you can basically put in your admin Steam ID, so whoever you want as admin, you can put in their Steam 64 IDs. This is basically where you can change the name of your server as well, and the MaxPlayer account if you want a password on the server. And eventually they're going to make this even more customizable in the future, so there'll be more settings and stuff in the future that you can add and change in here at any time. And then Engine.ini, you can find all this stuff in the guide. You'll probably want to copy paste all this. I don't know even if half of this needs to be in here, but I can guarantee you the EpicOnlineServices part definitely needs to be in this. Make sure you copy that in and put it in the bottom of your Engine.ini file. You need the EpicOnlineServices thing because otherwise your server won't be seen properly or it won't be able to start up correctly. So just make sure you have that in there. And that's the server setup. You can configure everything to your liking. So I don't know how you would apply this to any current information, as this is no longer able to be used anymore, but I'm going to show you this anyway. So if you right click on TheIsleServer.exe and then create a desktop shortcut, you can essentially edit the shortcut, and instead of having to do what's coming up next, you could go into the properties of this, and then this little window would pop up and you could change that target section to basically be the launch options. The issue with it now is that the EpicOnlineServices part is way too long. For some reason there's a limit on this target box, so you can't really use this, but this is something that you used to be able to do. But not to worry, you can use the next step to start your server correctly. The best way to do this, however, is to find where you want to put this, and then right click and make a new text document, a .txt file, and you can name this whatever you want. I called it server start just for simplicity's sake, and you can just leave it as is and make it a text and then like enter it in and then change it later, or we can just change the extension now to a .bat, which means batch file. It'll pop up with this dialog box. You just click yes, because this will work. And then you can basically just edit it in Notepad, and basically you would enter in the stuff. But obviously I already have mine set up. Here's the other way. You can just do it through here. I'm on Windows 11, so you just do that. You can click edit or edit in Notepad, or you can just use the little drop down thing. Either way, this is all the stuff that you will need to put into your batch file, and you'll basically want to change this to where you put your steamcmd, and you'll want to change this to where your server is, which is where you installed your server in the first place. And you'll want to make sure you change this line, specifically the TheIsleServer to like TheIsleServer.exe. That's where your exe is located. You'll copy it the same way we did before. You'll change the port to the port you're using, the MaxPlayers, if you want to have different MaxPlayers, but I don't think that's configured in this anymore. But that's essentially it. Then you can just double click that and it will start your server up. So just to showcase what's going on here, I double clicked on the batch file, the start file, and it starts up steamcmd. It checks for the updates. It says that it's fully updated already. Now it says ISLE server started, and it should start up this here. The log window pops up. It says error map loaded. That's a new thing in this update. And as you can see, it's going through all the things, starting up the maps, basically. It goes through the title map, and then it goes to the actual map that you selected. In this case, it's gateway. These errors are all just a bunch of engine errors, and they're nothing to worry about. The yellow warnings about vertexes and stuff, you can just ignore all that. And then eventually, after some time, you should see successfully created session Utasia Evrima. Obviously, that'll be the name of your server that you put in the game.ini earlier. And it says session started successfully. So then if I Control C it, in this log window specifically, it'll close the server, and then once it says game engine shut down, then you Control C once more, and this countdown will begin. And then once it reaches 0, it'll repeat the process. This is for in case the server crashes. If it ever crashes or anything like that, then it'll wait a minute and then restart the server. It's also useful so that you don't have to go through to steamcmd and type in all of that stuff again. You can just start this up anytime you want to update the server. And yeah, you don't have to worry about a single thing. And then once again, there it is, session started successfully. If it says session started successfully and there's no other warnings above that mention anything about forwarding ports or binding IPs, then you should be good to go. So hopping into the game here, just to show you, just by following all of these steps, if you go to the session filter, go to unofficial, and my server's obviously up here. I can see mine. It's got ping 0, it's got all the name and stuff, it's got the game mode. But you can also, if you can't find your server, you can just type it in to the search bar here. And if you get scanning all frequencies just constantly loading like this, just delete one of the letters, and it should restart the scanning and actually find the server. Then you should be able to connect, and if this connecting screen stays up for too long, in the current update there's a bug in the game.ini. If you have the BQ system in the game.ini, just remove that, or just remove it from the game.ini, and the connecting issue should go away. And that's pretty much it. That's how you set up your server. You can see I set myself as an admin here, obviously because it's my server. You can choose to be an admin or you can choose not to be. There's a whole bunch of settings and stuff, and they're apparently planning on adding more customization for your servers in the future. So be on the lookout for that. I'll be sure to mostly try and keep up to date on keep you guys up to date on everything that's happening. But that is going to be it. That's how you set up your server. Happy hosting!